All right, everyone. Welcome to the 8th biannual Minnesota M365 Workshop Day event. I am your host, Michelle Gilbert, President of the User Group and former MVP. Thank you all for attending. We have some incredible sessions for you. And of course, we have a lot of prizes to give away in every session. And at the end, we have a grand prize when you fill out that survey. The first session today is going to be on Keynote. What is the MVP program? Learn from past and present Minnesota MVPs. So hopefully you're going to get to hear from everyone today. I've got a few questions to ask them, and maybe we'll learn a little bit, learn about how, if you're interested in the MVP program, how you can get involved. I've got some housekeeping things, some announcements here. This meeting is being recorded. Please mute yourself prior to the presentation starting. If you have questions or comments, raise your hand or ask a question in the Teams meeting chat section. If you do need live captioning, you can go to the more options in the meeting settings and turn them on for yourself. We will be giving away a $25 gift card at the end of every session. Hint, ask some questions, comment, interact, use the emoticons. And then of course, our grand prize giveaway will be selected at the end of the day. You will be contacted, and this is all based on survey submission. Not if you like something, just by filling out the surveys. So we can hear from you how we can improve our monthly user group events. That's the second Monday of the month, as well as how we have these in the spring and the fall and what you would like to see and learn more about. So give us some great feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We want to thank our sponsors. So we have 4 sponsors this event: RBA, Concurrency, Cyber Advisors, and Sky North. So for all of them, thank you so much. We can't hold these events and give all the prizes and speaker gifts away without all of you. And our grand prize is a Surface Laptop Go. So again, at the end of the event, fill out the survey, mn365.org/survey. So now let's move on to the keynote. Really excited. Oh, let me go back. There we go. Really excited to have all these MVPs join us. Kind of last minute in a sense that they were able to carve out some time, share with you kind of their story on what their journey was for being an MVP, how it's made an impact in their lives personally and professionally. And then also share with you what you might, if you're interested in the program, some advice you might need to get started. So let's first start off with your introductions. I think maybe the best way to do this is to go in alphabetical order. I'm going to see if I can try to figure that out. And so also—
That's the easiest?
Yeah, that's might be the easiest. Or
first
you might
name or last name.
pick on the next person that you want to call out. But your introduction, how you became an MVP, and what your specialty is. So let's go ahead and see alphabetically. Holy cow. That's pretty easy. Dean.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, M365 Community of Minnesota, for having us here. So the way I became an MVP, I've been on this journey for a number of years, but officially the last 4. I'll tell you, it was with a lot of help. That's number one. And I had done some work in the Yammer community specifically, and also around analytics, social collaboration. And through that work, I got very close to the Yammer team and to the Yammer community, also called the Yam Fam, the outer circle's inner loop. Or maybe that's reversed. You get the point. Did a lot of work with that community. Melanie Hohertz, a member of that as well. And as part of that, I did speaking and blogging and really getting the word out on communities. And it was less about the technology and more about how do humans collaborate together more efficiently. So that's really my origin story, and I'd like to just emphasize the point that I didn't do it alone. there were a lot of folks who advocated on my behalf, noticed what I was doing for the community, and recognized me for it. And so that's, Michelle, that's where I would start. And the alphabet's not my strong suit. So I'm not sure who should go next here.
I think Doug.
Doug, over to you, Doug.
Hey, I was hoping last name alphabetically, but no, this works. Good morning, everybody. My name is Doug Wilson. I'm MVP in Enterprise Mobility. I'm not sure if there's too many other Enterprise Mobility MVPs on this call. If there are, please let me know. So with that being said, there's a lot of specializations between our areas of what you're an MVP in. And as Dean was saying, it does take a lot of work to be an MVP, a lot of help in the sense that it brings about what I would consider the community. So with all of us working together, it usually puts a spotlight on individuals who we as MVPs feel that are maybe able to help the community a lot more, and we will work with them to nominate or even to maybe mentor. Or if you're interested in the MVP, definitely reach out to anybody you know to help with that. Like, again, that mentorship type style, because part of being an MVP is we want to help grow that community further. Let's see. I know when I started going down, I think it was 2017, 2018, when I was working towards the community a lot more, working with the community is where I got started into becoming an MVP. And it was really working with user groups like MN365 here and Twin Cities user group around enterprise mobility. So like config manager is one of my specialties, and now it's the whole enterprise mobility area. I know I got nominated in the beginning of 2019 and actually was picked or awarded the MVP in November of 2019. So that was a very exciting year. And it's just been kind of a roller coaster since then of a lot of fast moving things and a lot of fun. So I know, again, the community is a lot of fun to be a part of. I could talk for probably a while, but I want to make sure we get through everybody.
That's what we're going to hopefully, hear everybody share their story. So I think we can move it over to Liz.
Hi, everyone. Liz Sundet, and I was an MVP from 2017 and 2018. I've been a MVP Reconnect since I joined Microsoft in 2018. And my specialty, I guess, is toys. So Teams, OneDrive, Yammer, and SharePoint, yay, all of the collaborative type of products that we have. Since I've joined Microsoft, I do work for the SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams product team, and have been focusing on Viva Connections for probably the last year. And so I got nominated by another MVP, and it was actually Melanie Hohertz who put a little bug in my ear many, many years ago. And she said, hey, have you thought about becoming an MVP? Because you're doing all this stuff, like you should be recognized for it. So yeah, it was her that kind of put a bug in my ear about, hey, step up a little bit and get interested in presenting yourself in a little bit of a different way. So thank you very much, Melanie. And never know when inspiration is going to come around. Yes. So that's me.
All right, let's move over to Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Barnes, and I am an Office Apps and Services MVP. I specialize in Microsoft Access, and I started speaking, well, I've been speaking about Access for quite some time, but I started speaking at an actual user group and became a chapter president of an online user group maybe 7 years ago. And that was at the ask of another colleague of mine that happened to be an MVP. And after a couple years of that, he said, you know, Maria, you should really, you know, and at that time, I'm not even sure that somebody had to nominate you at that time. I think you could just self-nominate. So I tried 1 year and I didn't get it. But then the two of us worked together on, you know, strategy and how much more detailed I needed to get in my application, because I was doing all the right things, just didn't probably list everything down properly. So a couple years later, I reapplied, and now I've been an MVP for 4 years. So the kind of nice thing about Office Apps and Services is it covers so many topics. You don't have to limit yourself to speaking about one topic. As long as it's within the bucket of Office Apps and Services, you could speak about Excel and Access and, you know, whatever else was your forte. So that's it from me.
Awesome. Thank you. Melanie, you want to go next?
Oh, sure. Sorry, got a little cattail on my lap here. So Melanie Hohertz, I am Global Content Lead for Enterprise Technology for Ernst & Young. And that means that I'm in charge of a global team of about 18 people who create all of the M365 and occasionally other tools content that helps to make sure that everyone in Ernst & Young can use these tools most effectively. So it's all about change management and adoption and business value all day, every day. And I am a 6-year MVP for Office Apps and Services. And I absolutely echo what you said. This is something where I made my bones absolutely on Yammer back with Dean back in the day. But the thing is, you know, I also represent Teams. I represent OneNote. I represent OneDrive. I've presented on live events. Michelle and I have written a flow of the week, you know, going over into the Power family. So I would say even feel like you can go outside of these particular boundaries and combine them. You know, I think Sarah Haase has spoken on almost every tool in the suite, except I don't think I've heard her do Azure yet. And so I think that that's probably what's next for her. So I would say that as far as if you are interested in being an MVP, there are a couple categories that I would point out to you, most of which I've engaged in at one point or another. Be a service owner or champion. I owned Yammer for 7 years, and I went from literally reading a book called Social Collaboration for Dummies, literally it exists, look it up in the catalog, to handing out my own policies and talking about how to like actually make your network succeed and grow. But then, of course, because I was speaking about it, I turned to presenting and hopped on a couple of stages. And one of the presentations that I did early on got about 20,000 views on Channel 9. And I think that was when I was officially made an MVP. Even if you don't own a blogging platform, LinkedIn is always available for you. And that's where I do just a blog every now and then. So really, I would say expand your areas of interest. Write about what you learn and the process of learning it and the process of sharing it with others. And that is absolute value that you can offer to the folks around you.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Richard, let's hear from you.
Thanks, Michelle. Richard Brynteson. I am, I guess, Office Apps and Services is the technical term, but primarily around Teams. Before that, Skype for Business. Before that, OCS. Before that, Link. Before that, whatever they called it before that. I think this is my 10th year or 11th year. I actually don't have any idea, so I'd have to look that up. It's getting to that point. I think for me, I never wanted to become an MVP. Like that was never even on my radar, honestly. I blogged and I was on the tech community a lot, right, on the website answering questions, and literally an email popped in one day and said, "Congrats, you're an MVP." And I was like, "Cool." Didn't even know what that was. So it was nothing I was striving for, right? So my background has always been, you know, on collaboration, a little bit of telephony, but really that collaboration world. So Skype and Teams have been fantastic. And, you know, before MVP, you know, it was Microsoft Certified Solutions Masters, teaching at those classes. That's where I started, was teaching at the MCSM classes. So I think that's pretty much it. That's my answer.
All right. Thank you. Sarah.
These introductions are great. I'm loving this. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Haase. Thrilled to be here today. And it's great to be with other Minnesota people. I mean, it's great to be with all of you, but it's great to hear from the Minnesota MVPs as we are getting excited for spring in this Advent Day. But I'm thrilled to be here. I'm also an Office Absence Services MVP. I think I got my MVP in 2018. My story is a little bit longer than most. I was involved in doing a lot of blogging, speaking, helping to run SharePoint Saturday Twin Cities for a long time. And frankly, being an MVP wasn't on my radar. And then I think I got nominated once and didn't get it. And then it wasn't on my radar again. And then it was sort of, it circled back around. And it's a wonderful thing to be awarded and to be recognized for that. I always say that that's never been a motivation for why I do things. I just love getting to know people in the community. And I love being able to speak and give back and organize events and meet people and connect and build friendships with people all around the world. So to me, that's the biggest value add of being a member of this community. And the great thing is, and I think Melanie highlighted this, that you can start in one spot and then pick up other areas of expertise and areas of knowledge. For me, a lot of it stems around the work that I do day in and day out and what that leads me to learn. And you can reinvent yourself, because I might have started out as a SharePoint person, but I do an awful lot with MIP today. And as Michelle knows, and Liz, never would I have thought I would be an MIP person and speaking about MIP. And yet lately, that's what I'm speaking on a lot. So the wonderful thing about, I think, the M365 suite is just the diversity of options that it offers for continued growth and learning. And that's one of the reasons why I love being an MVP.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And Wes.
We're down to me?
Yeah.
All right.
What hat is that?
Perhaps.
The only one I haven't worn is Mark's, so we'll just get that one out so he doesn't yell at me if he's peeking in here. All right. I'm Wes Preston. I've been around a long time. I think I was awarded in 2009. I'm also in the SharePoint side, so Office Absence Services. Thanks for the reminder, Maria, because I never remember what that long phrase is that we're supposed to be. It was SharePoint services. It was SharePoint. I mean, it's evolved over time. Yeah. Honestly, you guys have covered the vast majority of things that that we talk about when we talk about how we became MVPs. And I really love Melanie's what you learn and how you learned it, and then share that. That was the core for me. Years and years and years ago, it was. For me, locally especially, we had two really strong MVPs back in the day with Bill English and Todd Bleeker, and they were kind of the go-to for anything SharePoint. Todd on the IT Pro side, or I'm sorry, Todd on the Dev side, and Bill on the IT Pro side. And they did back then, before we did all the blogs and things. He did this little thing. And it was kind of the Bible for a lot of people in the SharePoint community. So, it was doing those. It was being on forums, and it came down to how you chose to share, right? So it was affiliated. It was kind of MVP was kind of affiliated with people that were super deep technically, and then also had the ability to share it with the community. And that happened in a lot of different ways. Like I said, in forums. People that started to speak. For me back in the day, it was the SharePoint user group when we were only in person. So it was, we had a room at the old Microsoft office in Edina, and we'd have 80 to 150 people coming once a month on a Wednesday morning. So it was, that's where I spent a lot of my time. I started speaking there. The way that it was running, the consulting company that I worked for at the time was kind of running it. So when folks rolled off, myself and some other folks ran that for a few years, and then then my activity rolled into working with Sarah on the SharePoint Saturday, soon to be M365 Twin Cities once we get our vendor or our venue to open up again. Yeah, so I've done a lot of that stuff, written some books, or contributed. I didn't write a whole book, good Lord. But So, did some things with books, did some things with speaking, did some things on forums, all kinds of stuff. And it's really about, again, I'm going to go back to that over and over, Melanie, because I really love it. It's those of us that are interested in the technology. So we dig into it and we figure stuff out. And then we go, you know what, I bet someone else could really enjoy this. So then you write a blog post or do a quick video and say, here's what I did and here's what I learned. Maybe it might be useful to you, regardless of what media you use to share that information. I think that was, to me, that's been the core, right? And now it's speaking and still doing blogs and things like that. But I think that's kind of the core for a lot of us.
Yep, for sure. I know as me, I was a MVP for 1 year with the help of Liz. So as Melanie kind of coached Liz coached me. I did try to become an MVP by submitting, I think, a couple times. It took a while, and I didn't really kind of weigh my hat on, I can't wait to become an MVP. I just wanted to continue to community give. And the reason why I only was an MVP for 1 year is because then I moved over to Microsoft. So when you move to Microsoft, you lose the ability to be an MVP. But that didn't negate me from still wanting to give in the community. I bet there's probably 3 to 4 sessions I do a month and have been ever since. So this is really going on years. And it's because I just really love to share things that I take maybe a little bit more time in digging into, like Wes said, and then go, I bet somebody else probably wants to know this information too. So whether that's writing a blog post, even on LinkedIn, like a LinkedIn article, a forum, a response, a community session, or just feedback as you talk to people. Well, when we were all in person and then now virtual, I think we're going to go back to the in-person where we're going to be able to have those side conversations, talk about cool things that we're doing in Viva Connections and, how to roll out cool adaptive cards in the dashboard and just fun stuff. So I know I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be really exciting. It's going to help drive the community. I love seeing everyone here, and thank you for that, because this really shows that even though we're apart and we're hybrid and we're virtual, we can still connect and share our story. So the next question I have, first one to Dean, is what value has the program brought you personally and professionally?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, my first answer straddles both personal and professional. I'm I don't know if you've noticed by my gray hair, I'm a little older than your average MVP. But I was at an Ignite where we were, and it might have not been called Ignite, but it was about diversity and inclusion. And I got to be around some people who shaped my viewpoints around what diversity and inclusion really mean. I thought I knew what it meant. But had I not been an MVP, I would have not had that opportunity to talk to those people with those views that helped me understand a world that was opening up to me. And this might seem a little heavy for a Friday morning, but that was I was honored to be part of that and to learn at at my stage in life what that meant. Being an MVP allowed me that opportunity, and I will never forget that. So professionally, it was really about connecting with people who could put into words things that were in my head that in a much more concrete and tangible way. And then for me to put the old Dino spin on it and help customers understand it. While not being the most technical, I do feel the strong desire to help people understand how technology can be used to solve business problems. And getting a variety of input from the various MVPs that I have come into contact with, and people who have attended my sessions, most, let's include everybody here. That's been the value to me, is personal learning, personal development, and then being able to share that back into the community. So there you have it. And
Fantastic.
I think thank you. And then over to Doug.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, the next starting.
I'm getting
with
better
E.
at the alphabet. So
No, to reiterate, of course, Dean, what you said, diversity and inclusion is one of the most prominent points of anything around Microsoft recently, and I guess not just recently, but for a while now. And I do significantly appreciate it. The MVP program has really put an emphasis there. For me personally, one big thing about the program that I've appreciated is being able to kind of champion where my customers, like, because I'm still in consulting, so my customers, when we run into issues, or if I see a more larger problem with any of the programs that I'm working with, like Intune, Config Manager, or anything around the enterprise mobility area, I can have more of a direct line into the product team to at least bring those issues to their attention. So besides just like the self-learning that I've gotten out of this program, a lot of the internal information that I've received, one of my goals, and this was my goal always before being an MVP, is just to be able to work with the community, find solutions for what we deal with in our day-to-day difficulties. Just like Wes with his many hats, a lot of us in IT have a lot of hats that we always have to wear. So one of the goals of my whole career has always been, how do we make this easier for us? We have way too much to do. As an MVP, how can I help out our community to do that more? And it's really empowered me to have more of those tools at my hand to help out with that at least.
Great answer, Doug. Let's go ahead and go to Liz.
All right. So when I think about this question, I think about it personally in, like, my home relationships. And then I think about it in terms of like my relationships with the community, because I have friends in the community. And then I'll talk a little bit about professionally, because it's probably had the biggest impact on me professionally. Least amount of impact is, my home life. My parents, my siblings, my husband, my friends, my neighbors, they have no idea what an MVP award is. They have no idea what I do. And so when I tell them, hey, I got this awesome award, they were like, oh, okay, so what? And I even wanted to like go out and celebrate with my husband, hey, let's go out to dinner and celebrate this. And he was like, why? I don't know what that is. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and celebrate with my friends in the community then. And so that's what I did, is, had to tap into my network within the Minnesota community and say, hey, we're going to celebrate this. Let's, go out and have, a little celebration and that type of thing, that we can celebrate it. But, even the friends in the community, it was, hey, that's great, but we don't want you to stop doing what you've been doing. So, just because you've become this MVP and you've gotten this award doesn't mean that you can let us all down and, not be doing some of the same things that you've been doing all along. Absolutely. That's part of the award, is that you continue and actually up your game a little bit in doing more for the community and constantly thinking about what you can do. Professionally, I probably had the biggest impact professionally. I joined Microsoft about 2 years after I got the award, and I attribute very much, the relationships, the network that I already had within Microsoft as part of being an MVP already. So, the fact that, my manager's manager knows me by name and knows what sessions that I have done in the past. That would be Jeff Teeper. Like, hey, that's a pretty cool thing. Not everybody in the product group has that type of recognition. And I know that that's because he recognized me as an MVP first and somebody that was contributing to the community first. And so that's always a really nice thing to be able to tap into that bigger network of all of the different people that I've met through doing presentations in the community and being able to sort of climb that ladder, if you will. So.
Awesome. And let's pass it over to Maria.
So I have to admit, the first year that I was an MVP, I was actually very overwhelmed by all the things new opportunities that I got, and I wasn't sure how to make use of them, and there were just too many for me to make use of. My favorite things have been having access to the product team. I've got to do some really cool things like pre-release testing of products. During the MVP Summit, there's usually a couple of topics that the team is working on for, the next year or two that I get to provide input as to, how they should concentrate, or features or functionality that's, more useful than others. The other MVPs, particularly in my product group, have become kind of a tight network of colleagues that I didn't have access to before. And they've got some great knowledge and do some great things. For example, I've branched into doing some of the support sites, where you answer questions and that kind of thing. I never did that before. I just spoke, but that's opened up a whole new level of community giving for me. I heard about this great program through the PGI calls, which I'm not even sure what PGI stands for, but you can listen to these PGI calls from any of the products. Basically, you can sign up to do so. So I can learn more about other products, not just my product. But I learned about this cool opportunity called Microsoft Teals. So I help teach high school students. And it's really exciting for me to be able to do that. Professionally, I think it definitely adds a weight of expertise onto your professional skill set. So I have a consulting business, and so that helps people want to decide to use me as a consultant because they know that I have some experience and some depth in the product. And then also to my existing clients, I can offer a new level of service. For example, if they've got a bug or if they've got a problem, I have a one-on-one connection with that product team to help involve them. And so both of those things have been key for me. That's it.
Great. Melanie.
Oh, this is a great question. And I would say for any of you who are thinking about, possibly becoming an MVP, but just saying, oh my gosh, I can't put myself out there that way. May I offer you the useful concept of the fact that I am a natural introvert and the concept of situational extroversion. Because this is something where honestly, the biggest thing about the MVP, everyone's already mentioned, like essentially it's the personal and the people. I would basically take a 2 a.m. bail call from everyone who you see on this screen. And there are several of you, and you know who you are, where I would take a bullet for you. And so this is something where having to get to know all of these people in the network, essentially everyone's doing cool things and they will want to pull you in. So if you need that, reach out to the MVPs. They will want to know what issue you're wrestling with, what you want to learn. They will cooperate with you on something new because that's part of the DNA of the program. And so I would say that just due to reaching out and having discussions with people, I have found myself on podcasts in South Africa and Germany and Australia. All right. I have actually found myself on stages dressed as Doctor Strange along colleagues who are dressed as Iron Man and Quicksilver. I have dressed up as Adam Savage on a stage with my sister, my actual Yam Fam sister, Amy Dolzine, playing Jamie and Adam, and dropped a Mentos into a 2 liter of soda to explode on stage. And yes, I'm an introvert. So I will say that if you want to think about what it does professionally, ever since I was made an MVP, every one of my jobs has rested on the fact that I have the MVP network and experience at my back, whether it was Cargill or Avanade or here at EY. So it can be truly a technology change, the technology and the award can be a life-changing intervention. And finally, I would say that, between the people and the personal and the professional, don't discount just the passion. We all sometimes think of our job as just something we do. Some of us work to live, some of us live to work, right? But don't discount the fact that you have an avenue that will continually drive curiosity and passion and keep you engaged and learning and refreshed. And yes, over years.
All right, let's go ahead. If I do my alphabet correct, we are at Richard.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's the friendships for sure, right? The people you've met along the way, the opportunity to get together, even not at the height of COVID, but on the tail end of COVID, right? As a small community, we've actually flown to a central place, so a lot of us former Skype Teams MVPs can sit in a room and virtually watch Ignite or virtually watch Airlift, right? So just being able to have those friendships with people. Professionally, I think it's interesting, right? I think at some point in time, everyone on this call, MVP, listening, whoever, right, has said to themselves, if I was in charge of this product, if I was on the product group, I would do this instead, right? And what I have found fascinating as professionally, right, is my curiosity has always been, I mean, super nerdy, sorry. I like to go really deep, right? I want to be in the weeds. I want to know all the little bits and pieces, how it works, right? I'm the one with Fiddler out, debugging and reverse engineering teams. If you want to know every API that Microsoft uses that's not published, I have a list, right? So, and that's just for fun. So being able to professionally, right, be able to interact with the product group, right? Like, I'll probably never have a job on the product group, but I get to talk to individuals, right? I get to see things before they come, and I feel like they listen to us. So as shared channels is delivered right now, right? I remember sitting in meetings a year ago talking about how it's going to work. As channels 2.0 comes out at the end of the year, I don't think I broke an NDA there. That being able to, be able to see what that looked like, 6 months ago and figure out where that's going to look in the future. I think that's, for me professionally, the cool part.
All right, and same question for you, Sarah. What value has the program brought you personally and professionally?
I was just going to ask you to repeat the question for anyone who's joined us or. So for me, I think that the program is amazing. Having been someone who's been involved in the community and given back and done speaking or organizing and things like that for many years before I got the MVP. The friendships and this kit, we all use the same common term, the community. And I feel as though we should define what that means because it goes far beyond being an MVP. But when you think about the M365 space, some of my favorite people on the planet are within this realm. Some of you are on the call today, right? It's just such a quality group of people who care, who are service and giving oriented, wickedly smart, love learning new things, love being able to provide feedback. And I think for me, that's very enriching. And some of those people are MVPs. Some of those people work for Microsoft. Some of those people are people that I met, a few weeks ago when I was at a conference in Las Vegas and I got to sit down and have some wonderful conversations with people. So I just think it's an amazing opportunity to connect and to maintain those connections over time and give back.
All right, and same question for you, Wes. And you're on mute. You need that hat.
Yeah, I do. Oh, that would be an awesome hat. So much has been covered, but there's, the big things are when I think the personally thing is just that core group of friends, just people we've gone to conferences with, traveled with, organized things with, presented with. It forms some good bonds with some really cool people, some really like-minded people, and that like-minded from not just the technology, but just from life, and especially with the diversity inclusion things. Now I've sat in on several of Sarah's sessions, and usually sitting around the edge, sometimes shouting things in from time to time. But it's it's fun to be included and to contribute to those conversations. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of it from the personal side. That I was trying to think of some good example, and there's so many, it's hard to pick. But I think probably I think we had a bit of a multi-car road trip to Brynteson. That was probably near the top of my list. That in terms of both personally and professionally, that was a highlight. But
I'm just going to say, Wes, this does make me say that anytime Wes says, Sarah, get up early, we'll hit the road, and I promise there's a bagel store, and it won't take long to get there.
There you go.
That's a fib. It'll take forever to get there.
Ever.
But it was the Brynteson one is a fun example because it was a lot of us all together crammed in cars for 11 hours. But the reason we were doing it was to go down and support another friend of ours, Mark Brynteson, with his event, and to speak. And I don't even remember, I'm pretty sure not all of us in the road trip spoke. So some of us were speaking, some of us were just there for support, some of us were attending. That's the kind of the friendships that we have. And it's, again, not just for the technology, but for the other relationships that we build out of that. And then professionally, we've talked, I think again, lots of great examples before I went. But the two big things that I love is the opportunity to advocate for customers and clients and people in the community that have questions or concerns or problems, and being able to take it to the people that can get the answers for them. That is my favorite part of that. And it's, sometimes we know who the people are that we need to go to. Sometimes we just start the chain and, call this group or call the other people that we know, and until we find the people. So having access to that is so fantastic. And get kind of a side effect, but one that we're seeing the effects of now is our exposure to the Microsoft Teams. We get to interact with them on multiple levels, and that gives them access to us. And a lot of that you're seeing recently is, call it a blue wave, call it whatever you want. There's a ton of people in the MVP community that are going full time. It's been happening a lot. We've got a couple examples, on this call right now, and it keeps happening. And it's fun to watch. It's kind of sometimes overwhelming when you go out there and you're like, oh, all of these people. I think in Vegas we had a Ask Me Anything panel, and it was easily over half the people up there were former MVPs that were now full-time employees at Microsoft. So it's kind of if that's what your path is, if you're looking to do that, great. This is one of many paths. But I find it interesting. Just it's fun because people at Microsoft get to see you, get to interact with you, get to know you. It's kind of like a multi-year pre-interview where they go, I want this person on my team. And lots of people won't do it because that's not what they want to do with their path, but it makes for some really cool fits, and it's great for those of us that are still in the community and not on the Microsoft side, because we know these people, and it's great because we know they've been where we were, so it's a great perspective, and it's I think it works well. It's a win-win for everybody.
Agreed. I just will echo what everybody else was saying. Just personally, I think for me, it's been the community. It's the connection back to everyone on this call. When you go to events, sitting in a speaker room, having conversations about cool things that you might be creating or innovating on. I think of Melanie, we were in a conference room creating a flow, whiteboarding it like old school. There's just been some really cool things that I've been able to personally feel really connected to people that normally in my personal life, right? Your first tier of friends, they have no concept around technology. Like Liz was saying, it's like, oh, you got an award, great. Good for you. But professionally, I think the impact for me, if you can't tell, is, I was an MVP for 1 year, but then kind of was nudged to apply at Microsoft. And I don't know if that has anything to do with being an MVP, but I think there was certainly it opens the door for you if you are interested to go down that career path. I certainly wasn't even thinking about it, and my specialty has been SharePoint for many, many years. And just the fact that even before I started at Microsoft, I did an Ignite session on Secure Score. So just, you really have more opportunities to go down paths that are of interest for you, that you, I think of Sarah doing MIP, like that's just, never would have thought. But these are, a chance to explore those capabilities or even create. I've created a session on Azure bot service, a Q&A service at the time. Like just doing cool things, but also being recognized to say, hey, we know that you already do a lot of sharing. You get a lot of really great response and reaction. Go try out these other things, and then we'll give you a shot at showing these cool new things and getting that feedback to help you grow in all the areas that you are interested in. So I have one more question. I'm hoping we can get through it. But I think many of you on the call have learned about our journeys. Now, if you are interested in it, I would love to hear from everyone on the call for the speakers on what you would recommend others do to begin their journey. And I'll go ahead and start with, I believe it's Dean.
If you want to start on this journey, have a passion for sharing what you know. It's really about, and I love the fact that Sarah took a moment to define community. But it's really about people helping people and humans helping us navigate this crazy world of technology. So find your passion and figure out how to share it. That's what I'd say. Over to you, Doug.
Well, thank you, Dean. So simply put, just like that, as Dean was saying and Sarah said about the community, it's the main thing about becoming an MVP is you want to help others. It's not just about yourself, and that's a very core value. We try not to be selfish. We want to help everybody that we can. And honestly, if you have questions, please reach out to any of us on this call. And it doesn't matter what field of MVP we are in, or if we're previous MVPs, we have a passion around this. And if you're not into enterprise mobility and you still reach out to me and you want to go towards Teams, trust me, I will find a Teams MVP that can guide you so much better than I could with Microsoft Teams. But we are all here for the community, and yeah, thank you all for being on the call in general. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Liz.
I've answered this question in some way, shape, or form quite a few times. And the best piece of advice that I can give anybody that is, looking to become an MVP, wanting to become an MVP, take the MVP out of it and ask yourself, what are you doing for the community? Where are you giving back? And don't worry so much about the award, worry about, paying it forward first. And that is sort of what path to success that I make sure that everybody that I mentor, make sure that everybody I talk to, really understands that it is about the community first, and the award is a recognition of that community involvement. It's not, an achievement type of thing. It's not a series of steps along the way that, you check the boxes and you get it done. It is not about that at all. It is about giving back and paying it forward. So, which I know everybody else has mentioned here before too. So that's my best piece of advice for everyone.
Great advice. I think you absolutely nailed it, Liz. So let's go ahead and move to Maria.
So yeah, what everyone else has said, I just want to reiterate that, you know, being an MVP does not mark you as an expert in your field. Most MVPs are an expert, but you can totally be an expert in your field and you don't have what it takes to be an MVP. It's mostly about those who share their knowledge and share it in a way that a lot of people can benefit from it. So in today's day and age, I think getting stuff out there on YouTube or someplace where people can watch it after the fact is super helpful. I know a lot of people do on in-premise stuff, and if you get big numbers at those are also helpful. But that's hard to do, especially right now. So that virtual way and a recorded way is super powerful, at least at the moment.
Thank you, Maria. Melanie.
So really, if you are saying, okay, well, you know, there's no stage that I can simply go hop on because how would I even do that? Then make sure you reach out to someone like Sarah or reach out to someone like Michelle or any of the people here who've been involved previously with SharePoint Saturday or events at the MTC in Edina or other local places. They are always looking for people who will share what they've recently learned or a business challenge, and even welcome solutions from others in a roundtable format, because everyone faces the same challenge of implementation and security and adoption and policy. This is something where the challenge is not just yours. If you can be the catalyst for a discussion, then you don't even need to bring the answers to the table. And I will also say that again, you know, if you don't need to own a blog, LinkedIn is there for anyone. It's where I publish because I'm too lazy to keep up my own damn site. You know, so go ahead and post an article out there. It can be very simple. The last thing that I would say is that if you are at all nervous about, you know, being seen as someone who has learning or ownership in any particular service, like a technical service in your company, because that's not your role, there is a free Microsoft training out there that I did that is a Microsoft Service Adoption Specialist. And if you take that, it will give you what you need to become that kind of change agent in your company that is driving the adoption and business value from one of these services. And along the way, you will also get to watch a recorded presentation from Sarah. So I really recommend that credential.
I love that answer. All right. Sarah, how about you?
Did we, Richard?
Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. See,
Richard's first. I know.
That's all right.
I
That's
don't know
right.
yet,
Don't
but I
worry.
know Richard goes first and I go next.
If whatever. All right. I'm cool. Three things. One, exactly what Liz said. If you're going into it with the focus that I want to become an MVP, you're going in with the wrong idea, right? You should be going in for the community. The second is, you know, someone kind of talked about it. I forgot who mentioned it. It might have been Melanie before, but if you don't know where to start, if you want to talk, there are tons of users groups that are looking for people. Michelle runs the Office 365. I run the Teams users group. I don't want to listen to myself talk for 2.5 hours. I really don't. Like, if you want to come talk to us. I'm more than happy to like give you the mic. And the last thing is, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and make a mistake, right? Like, if you've never spoken in front of a group before, it's fine, right? You know, I've had some of the most epic meltdowns. I did a demo once and Teams went down in the middle, like global outage of Teams in the middle of my presentation, right? You know, I have a presentation in 6 minutes and we're still finishing the deck. So, I mean, we're definitely, don't be worried about, you know, making small mistakes or anything like that, because it's going to happen. And I'm sure Eric and I will have that presentation ready in 6 minutes for our session.
Good luck.
Yeah, you definitely need to have a deck in your back pocket is what I have learned too. So, all right, over to you, Sarah.
You know what I'm going to say? I know we've talked a lot about speaking. I do want to make it clear that you can be an MVP. I know many MVPs who do not speak at events, user group conferences at all. Being a speaker is not a prerequisite to being an MVP. And that kind of ties into my answer, because I think finding a way to be able to give back in a way that uniquely highlights what you have to offer and how you enjoy giving back is going to be key to your journey if you want to become an MVP. I think one of the best ways to start is building relationships. I know many of the other speakers on this call, we've taken time to spend time together, to ask questions, to seek feedback, to get help, and to figure out where to go and how to start. There's no singular path, just like there's no singular type of community activities that, in my opinion, matter more than others. Whether you're a person who likes answering questions on forums, whether you like attending user group meetings and sitting next to that new person in the room who might not have had anyone to say hello to them in person and being that welcoming source. There's so many things that you can do to give back, and it doesn't have to look like any one type of activity. So I think the number one thing is building relationships, building connection points. I know several other people who have come to me and, hey, we do FaceTime calls and we just talk about what they're looking to do and how they want to get involved more in the community. So building those relationships and figuring out what it looks like for you, what you want to do to give back, and how that best suits who you are, what you know, and your personality type is, I think, really key.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we have a little bit more time. Wes, do you want to go ahead and answer what you would recommend?
Sure. Obviously most of it's been covered. A couple of things that I was thinking about as we were talking though too is curiosity. Just having an innate curiosity is I think super important, because that drives the stuff where we're all digging in, like Richard's, getting all the APIs and things like that, right? We're intensely curious about how these things work and why they work the way they do. So I mean, I think that's a key ingredient, at least, and that's not something where I can say, hey, go get some curiosity. But I think if you have that, it's kind of a key ingredient. And then I think Sarah had just mentioned the other thing I was going to mention, which was pick the method and the media that works for you. For a lot of us, it's blogs. For a lot of folks, they're really comfortable with the video channels. I'm usually not a huge fan of doing virtual conferences, but hey, this is my community that I want to be a part of. So here I am. I'm also not a fan of early mornings, but we'll get into that later. So anyways, it's so pick the media that works for you. There's so many ways to contribute and be involved. And I think Sarah or maybe Richard, I'm not sure who was saying it before, but it was long after I was the organizer of the SharePoint user group. I loved coming and just sitting in the back and doing exactly what you guys are talking about, is chat with the people around you. Like when it comes to the break time, this person's new. Hey, who are you? What are you doing? What are you looking for? Just being a little part of that community to continue to help getting people out there and answer questions. That's a blast for me. I love doing that. So those are all really great ways of doing things. And then I think other people have maybe mentioned it a little bit as well, but the last thing was with the SharePoint Saturday Twin Cities stuff, we were very deliberate about trying to get new speakers in on a regular basis. It's super easy to go, hey, let's go call our pool of friends and have an event, and yes, that's what we do, right? We do know most of the people, and it is a community. But it was always, when we looked at those sessions, and let me tell you, most of the people on this call have been there at one point or another, is you look at the list of sessions that people have submitted, and picking the ones that you're going to have for a conference it's super tough, because there's a lot of really good content out there. But a lot of us in the community are also make sure that we look at it and go, all right, I want to make sure that we've got a handful of new folks here, folks that have a good story to tell, are learning how to do it, are have a new perspective. That's another thing that is super important, is to be able to open it up so that we can get new blood in here on a regular basis. So those are just the thoughts that I had as we were kind of going through the rest of the stack.
And that's a great lead in to say we have a whole lot of brand new session speakers at our workshop today. Check them out. Some of them have never even spoken. So go and encourage and support them. To all you MVPs, thank you so much for getting up early morning, Minnesota morning. Hopefully you guys go enjoy a good walk, and be sure to check out the rest of the sessions. They are all beginning now. Enjoy your day, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Take care.